Newest addition is this very large green trumpet coral. I've seen a bit of growth on this biggest one here. I picked up a few torches. This is kind of my canary coral. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Salty Roots. Thanks for checking out another video. Today I'm going to provide an update on all of the systems, the ups, the downs, and just overall progress and where we are today. If you would like a Salty Roots sticker, please just comment on this video or just shoot me a note and I'm happy to send you one in the mail. I did a quick giveaway in a short that didn't really get a lot of feedback, so I have a lot of those left and I'm happy to send you in the mail if you're interested. Just again, send me a quick note. But this video is long enough, so without further ado, we are going to jump right in. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, like the video. Let's check out the tanks. Start with the desktop tank. Things are going really well in this system. Everything seems to be happy and the tank is nice and clean. I say that because here recently I had quite a bit of green cyanobacteria overtaking and I dosed ChemiClean and it was gone almost instantly. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I kind of swore off ChemiClean for a while. I just didn't want to put chemicals into my tanks in general. And when I dosed it into the display the last time, I had a series of negative events follow, and that was just kind of bad luck, timing, the way the system was running at the time. It really wasn't the ChemiClean alone. Could it have contributed to things like the dyno and some other things that ended up happening? Maybe, but not enough to really not use the product at all, because as you can see here, it does work very well. I do like using it on a smaller system because you can do a big water change easily and get most of it out once it does its job. And so again, it really did remove all of the cyanobacteria. And then I did 20 gallons, or excuse me, I did 10 gallons of water, which was the majority of the water in the system because of the displacement of the rock and equipment and things like that. There's not actually 20 gallons of water in here. And so that brought it down to like only a quarter of the tank left being filled and replaced all of that water. And that was a few days ago, and as you can see, like I said, everything is doing really well. For the most part, this toadstool down here really has never done anything since I put it into the system. It still is green, but it, tried it in multiple different places, and it just kind of sits there like that. So anyway, I'm just leaving it alone. Frog spawn and the hammer are both continuing to grow. They've grown quite a bit since the last time I did an update. The Kenya tree, of course, continues to grow. That's a super easy and fast grower. And I did put the Space Invader frag from my display into this tank, and the Kenya seems to kind of overhang and shadow it a bit. It doesn't seem to mind too much. I'm curious if the Space Invader will sting it and what will happen there. I'm sure it will, but so far it's been a few weeks and it's not really an issue. The bird's nest up top doesn't really grow much, but it does look happy and healthy. Like I had said when I showed this the first time on this channel, it was just kind of an accidental frag from the display that I just put in here to see what would happen, and it seems to be doing okay. My newest addition is this very large green trumpet coral that I got for 30 bucks, and really happy with this piece. It's kind of what you first see when you look at the tank now. I want to add a torch down here in the corner just to kind of even things out, because this is such a big piece now right in the middle. It kind of draws your eye right to the middle, and you want your eye to kind of go all over the tank. So to kind of even that out, I want some movement down here with a torch here soon. My friend Dominic does have some really good deals on Joker torches right now, and I may look at one of those. These Zoas are spreading, which was the goal. I want them to kind of overtake this bottom rock here, and they seem to be doing just that, so I'm happy about that. And then I have a couple of the Duncans over here that are stretched out and seem to really enjoy that spot. I've moved them a couple of times, but they seem to, again, really like it right on the edge there. And then this toadstool, it's kind of up and down. It, when I first got it, was decently big and stretched out, and then for the longest time, it would just stay completely closed. But here, as of late, it is starting to come out again. This is kind of a new spot for it, but it seems to like this place here, so I'm gonna leave it, and hopefully it continues to come back out and will start to grow soon. The sand bed does go up at an angle like this and get deep in the back there. That's intentional. I do like that look, but more than anything, it's specifically for the roots of this mangrove, which as you can see, are starting to go down into the sand just like I had hoped, and so things are looking really well with this mangrove plant. If we go up top and take a look, I do have some new growth right there in the middle. It's been slow, but it is still green and it's looking like it's starting to grow, so I'm happy about the mangrove. And then the equipment, pretty basic still. I have the one pump. This pump really only kicks on once a day for about an hour, and then at night it will run all night long. So I should say it runs at night, and then during the day it only kicks on for about an hour. And that's also intentional because everything in here likes a gentle flow except for that SPS coral. Everything else likes a nice gentle flow. So the return pretty much provides all of the flow that I need for this. You can see the frog spawn right now. It's a perfect example. That's right about the amount of flow that I want for the softies and LPS. Additional equipment, I still have this DIY auto top off, which is just an old bucket of salt and a pump down in there that go up to the J-bow or J-bow, however you say that, sensors here, and that does a really good job. I hardly ever have to fill this auto top off, and so that's working well. And then I do have this fluval skimmer. I got a really good deal on it at Petco. I was there one time getting some fish food and I saw it was on sale, and then the online price was even cheaper and they matched it. So I think it was, I want to say $35 or $40. It definitely took some time kind of tweaking it. It's made specifically to sit down into fluval tanks and potentially other small nano tanks. But anyway, just kind of using some rubber pieces here and some aqua mesh underneath it, getting the height right. Like most skimmers, it had to break in. And then I just tweaked the height and kind of moved the water intake and air valve a little bit. And I have it skimming right where I want it now, and it's collecting a nice kind of thick skim. So I didn't think that was necessarily needed on the tank. I just thought, why not, since it was a good price. And a little extra filtration never really hurts. I just have the filter floss in that chamber. Still running the AI Prime light up top. The fish, same ones. I have the pair of Ocellaris clowns and then the green spot target goby in the back. I really don't plan on adding any additional fish to this system. The next thing I want to add is potentially some more invertebrates. I have a few snails in there. I definitely want to get a shrimp. And I go back and forth between, I've had peppermint shrimp in here before. I do have Aptasia that pop up every now and then. There's one, it's a little hard to see, right in the middle of those zoas. But for the most part, I stay on top of that with the F. Aptasia. The last time I put the peppermint shrimp in here, they did start eating coral. I saw them on top of coral, and I guess I can't say for sure they were eating it, but they were definitely bothering it, so I took them out. So I don't necessarily want to do that. I think I want to do like a fire shrimp or just something more aesthetically cool as opposed to functional or doing a job, because this tank is just kind of my fun tank and it's not very full, and I just think a cool shrimp would be a neat addition to this system. So as I had hoped, this is a really cool tank to have next to me as I'm working. It really does not require a ton of maintenance. I do a 5-gallon water change on it every week, and that's about it. I'm not dosing any elements. That water change pretty much keeps up with the parameters. I run pretty standard parameters on this tank. I haven't checked them in a while, and I should, but if the coral tell me anything, I think everything is going well. You can see the small clown back there was just submitting to the bigger female clown, doing the classic shake there. See him? It's always cool to see. Yeah, I really like this tank. It's doing well. Flip the light on and come over here to the mangrove tank. Have the blinds down and the light off to minimize the glare as we were taking a look at the nano tank there, doing some painting out there. But the mangrove tank is also doing well. It has gone through some ugly and algae stages, and there's definitely some algae still in here right now. You can see the roots of my biggest mangrove right there covered in some type of film algae. But for the most part, I'm trying to let this be as natural as possible and just kind of let it do its thing. I did add, as you can see, a little power head in here just to get some movement. I've been told by a few people that if you have some movement in the water, it will encourage these roots to grow down into the sand a little bit quicker. But other than that, I just keep it topped off. I keep it right about 20 ppt as far as the salinity, and I really don't have enough water from a depth perspective to add any type of fish that I could do, like a brackish fish. That would be cool. Obviously, there's the little dwarf green spot puffer, I think is what it's called, or mollies can do brackish, but again, I'd really have to raise this water up a bit higher to have any fish in here, in my opinion. And I don't want to raise it up too high because I have some leaves on this smaller mangrove down here. This one only comes up, you know, so high. If it was just this mangrove in here, I could raise it up a fair amount, but for right now, it's doing just fine. I've seen a bit of growth on this biggest one here. You can see some of the ones down below are dying off, but there is new growth up top. And I am questioning if it might even be burning a little bit from this super high powered light because of the brown edges that you see, and so we might need to turn this down. Luckily, I do have a dial on it where I have it at 60% right now, but I could even turn that down if I determine I need to do that. But I like having this back here. I really don't have to do anything to it at all. Every now and then I'll clean off the sponge filter, top it off, and the plants seem to be growing. This is the one I got from Etsy. I found this one at the beach myself, and then my friend Kyle found this one here at the beach. They're all alive. Let's go check out the display. Everything in the display tank has been going pretty well. I'm still battling the hair algae, of course, but getting ahead of it a little bit more every single day. I did try the Flux RX. I continue to remove as much as I can by hand, probably at this point once every other week. So it has slowed down quite a bit. Before I would pull it out by hand, and within 2 to 3 days, it would just be covering the tank. So as you can see, there is definitely still some hair algae in here, but again, it's not growing back nearly as fast as it used to. So I think I'm heading in the right direction there. The urchins are still doing their thing. I did have a pretty big sea hare I picked up from BioReef, and he went to town on the algae for a few days. I want to say I had him for about 2 weeks, and then unfortunately I found him at the bottom of the sand bed dead a couple of weeks later. So I'm not really sure. There's definitely enough food in there for him, but I haven't had the best luck with the sea hare, so I'm not gonna get any more of those. Hopefully I won't need to. I'm definitely getting some cyanobacteria. The last time I pulled out all of the hair algae, I also took a turkey baster and blew off the cyano, and then used the siphon hose I was using for the hair algae to also suck out as much cyanobacteria as I could. It comes back a little bit at a time, not enough yet for me to do chemi-clean like I did in the desktop tank, but if it keeps getting bad or if it gets a lot worse than this, I will go ahead and dose some chemi-clean, but I think it's okay for now. The coralline algae is really coming through. The more hair algae I get off, you can see the coralline just covering these rocks, which is a good sign when you're talking about the tank's maturity. The lights are still the 3 Radion Gen 5 XR15 blues, working well. They're not flickering or going off nearly as much as they used to. And honestly, the only thing I did differently on that was I changed up some of the power supply connection points here and just kind of swapped them around. And I'm not sure why, but it seems to have fixed the issue because they don't really flicker or go off at all at this point. As far as flow, I'm still running the 2 MP40s that I've had for many, many years. Cannot say enough about those pumps. They just work. Even when they have small issues, you can usually get them fixed, and then they just keep going. The fish are all doing well. I haven't had any more losses since I lost the magnificent foxface. Still not quite sure what happened to him, but everyone else continues to grow, and they look pretty fat, happy, and healthy. So far, at least none of the tanks have outgrown the tank. They may in the future, but they're growing at a rate that I'm happy with. Not much more to say about the fish. King, the powder blue, continues to be the tank boss. And like I said, I really haven't added any more fish, so there's not any aggression in here. Everyone knows the chain of command. As far as the coral goes, Fastest growing is of course still the hairy mushroom, as they're known to do. It's continuing to take over this bottom rock, which is the plan. I want it to just cover that whole bottom rock. I picked up a few torches from my buddy Dominic. So I picked up this one here, and then I put one in the middle as well. And the goal with that was to add some movement. I have the big Ghani over here that sways with the flow. And then again, as you're looking from afar, I wanted there to be that movement in 3 different spots, so your eye's not just drawn to one spot. So I have the movement here with the Ghani. I have a torch that I already had moving towards the middle, another middle left torch here, and then lastly a torch right here on the end. So I really like, kind of as you're looking back here, at the movement you're seeing across the tank. Non-moving corals, my SPS, they're doing pretty good. The Slimer finally started to grow off to the side there, as you see. Typically they're really fast growers. I'm hoping that's the start of the Slimer really taking off. You can see it starting to encrust on the bottom on the frag plug as well. So hopefully we'll see a lot of growth there soon. This one is still the unnamed coral. I'm not sure what it is. I got it from one of our group meetups, and the person selling it didn't know either. I'm not sure how well it comes through in the video, but it's got a deep purple base with some green around the edges as well. But that one grows pretty well. I have the ORA frog skin right there. It's grown a little bit since I put it in here. And then I have some of this TNT that broke off from the larger colony down here. And it's doing okay over there, but if you look at the larger colony, you can see all the tips have white on them. So we're seeing some good growth in that coral specifically. But for whatever reason, the smaller frags that fall off of this one, I put them up on the frag rack here, and as you can see, they almost always die and turn completely white. That is not white growth, that is death there. So I'm not sure why the colony grows so well, and even the bigger frag that fell off is growing with some white tips there, but small frags tend to just die off straight away. The Stylophora here is really big still. It's a little bit smaller than the last time I showed it, and that's because, again, I accidentally fragged some of it as I was cleaning off the hair algae, but those are really nice frags here, big chunky ones that are doing super well, and hopefully somebody will be interested in those. I have a couple of them up here on the frag rack. So not the worst thing in the world, and it's still happy and healthy. The bird of paradise, bird's nest up there, is, I think, battling the Stylophora for the biggest SPS in the tank, but it continues to grow really well. Some of that cyanobacteria underneath it is hard to get to just because it is so thick in growth there, but not a bad problem to have. I'm not sure what that coral is in the back there. It doesn't look great from the front, but when you look from the top down, you can see some bright green growing in it. I do know that it is growing. It's just a little bit paler than I would like it to be. The Garf Bonsai is really encrusting on the bottom, and I'm hoping some of that growth translates here soon to upwards growth instead of just across the rock, but that encrusting is clearly a really good sign. Pink Cyphastria here is still alive. It's pink, but that's about it. I really haven't seen any growth since I put this into the tank. I mean, as I'm looking at it now, there might be a little bit of encrusting there on the bottom left. So hopefully that is the case, but either way, it's not dying. I have a little button scully down there that I got from Dominic as well here recently. Bower Banky, I recently moved up here from the spot where I put my new pinwheel trumpet coral. And if you look down there to the bottom right, you can see part of that Bower Banky was encrusting onto the rock. So kind of sucked pulling that off, seeing that it was really liking that spot, but it's bounced back pretty well and it seems to be happy there. And as I said, I picked up this trumpet coral with quite a few heads on it. The ones in the back seem to be doing better than the ones in the front, and what it seems to be attributed to is the amount of light, right? So those in the back are shaded by the rocks. The ones up front are getting blasted with that rock. Even though they're at the bottom of the tank, it's still a lot of light, so I'm thinking, it may just like a little bit more shade, but I'm gonna leave it because even the paler ones have started to color up a little bit more as it's just settling in. It's only been in here for about a week, so we'll give it a little bit longer and see how it does, and I will move the whole piece if I need to, but hopefully it ends up liking that spot. The devil's hand is really stretched out. I think the last time I did an update, this was all shriveled up, and it was doing, we're doing that thing devil's hands do where they shrivel up for a little bit and then they explode in growth. But right now, he's super happy. Recordia mushroom is actually starting to grow. It used to be where this torch is out here on this rock, and then I moved it over here. Again, a little bit more shaded, kind of like that trumpet coral, and ever since I moved it to that spot, it's starting to grow again. So I'm happy about that. The acan, I'm still gonna call them acans because that's what I call them. Really happy, continuing to grow. It's got quite a few more heads since my last video. The Blasto up top, I mean, it's got good color and the tissue looks good, but it just really has not grown at all since I put it in here. I've been thinking about potentially moving him, but with that color and the tissue, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do because I do like how healthy it looks. Just not seeing a lot of growth. I found my urchins to carry some of my zoas around, and so they have put a few of them up on this rock here, and they're starting to grow, even though it's not where I wanted them to be, but there they are. These zoas I got for a really good price. They were $65 a piece, but he gave me both for $120. This is a local reefer from Jacksonville. I'll put the name of his shop, or I'll put his company name on the screen now because I can't think of it. But really good price on hundreds of heads, obviously, for $120 for both of those huge pieces. That was a great deal to go along with my Zoa collection, where I have the Rainbow Infusion doing well as always, and what I believe are Rastas, I'm not sure. But these Zoas are really starting to give the Rainbow Infusion a run for their money and grow quite a bit. And then there in the back, I'm not sure what those are called, but those are the ones that are also over here. And they're doing pretty well back there. They're just a little bit hard to see. Space Invader, dominating this whole spot. I do think it's starting to sting my Gani down there where you see the shriveled up tentacles on the Gani, just because of how close they are. But super happy, super healthy. This is kind of my canary coral when it's not doing well. Something I think is off in the tank because it's always doing so well, or it's always so happy and healthy. The Pandora Zoas, just kind of keep them on their own rock here. I don't want them too close to my main rock because they grow like weeds, and yeah, if you look close, somewhat of a cool design to them, some of that little speckle and sparkle to them, but overall they're a little bit too brown for me wanting them to get up onto the main rock. So overall they look good in the Zoa collection, but kind of want to keep them over there by themselves. A couple more acros I didn't hit on. I forget the name of this one, but it's supposed to be red. It's my newest additions are that one, and then this woolly mammoth here. They're both new and settling in, and I don't know, they're not looking great right now. Hopefully they pull through, but they're looking pretty pale, but they're brand new. We'll see. The Bill Murray, each video I shoot, I think it has a little bit more and more color and more growth to it. So I'm super happy with that one. The Green Mother, it's not a Slimer, it looks like one, but apparently it's called a Green Mother. It's grown a little bit. It's got a little length to it since my last video, but it's doing well. And then the Walt Disney, really hasn't grown, but I'm just happy it's still alive, as it's probably the only high-end acro I actually have is a Walt Disney, and simply keeping it alive is enough for me right now. Not doing well back there is that Monty. It's usually all green with red polyps in the middle, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that guy, but he seems to be randomly on his way out the door here soon. It's been touch and go a little bit, starting to maybe get some color back, but I'm not really sure. And then I just put some of the stylo that I knocked off in the back there just to add some more depth to the tank. A couple of additional random macros up here that seem to be pretty happy. I'm not great with the acro names. A little frag rack up here is just that. It's just got some tiny little pieces. As I said, the TNT back there is pretty much dead, but everything else is doing okay. One of the most unfortunate placements of coral in my tank is the candy corn favia that's right back there. And as you can see, the camera can't even pick it up, it's blurry. And that's the same problem in person, is that it's really hard to see, but it is really taking off, and it has pretty much covered that back rock. You just have to kind of get the right angle to even see it, and so I wish it was more out in front, but just kind of is what it is. It is growing a lot, and so hard to be mad at that. I just wish I placed it somewhere different. And then the yellow submarine, honestly, this is one of the best growth results I've seen since starting the Reef moonshiners. It seems like as soon as I started moonshiners, this submarine really took off, and it was stagnant for a very long time. And it's got really good color. It's obviously encrusting outwards and seems to be really happy, and I think that might be a direct result of the trace elements from the moonshiners. This Ganipora, I put it in a few spots and it just really will not extend. So it's got great color. It's a nice bright green, but I really am having some trouble getting it to extend any further than what you see here. Stepping back and kind of looking at the tank from my typical angle, sitting over there on the couch, I mean, it does look really good. Overall, I'm really happy with it. It's just when you get close again, you see all of that hair algae. But as I've said a few times now, I hope I'm on the right side of that, and I'm just gonna be patient. Nothing happens fast in this hobby, so I'm just gonna continue doing the things that I'm doing, chipping away at it, and hopefully it doesn't grow back at all at one point here soon, because like I said, when you step back and look at it, it does look really happy and healthy overall. Down below, depending on the last time you saw an update from me, I likely have a few new things going on in the cabinet, starting with the Reef mat from Red Sea that I've really enjoyed using. Changing the roll on it is super easy. I've had other roller mats where it's just a nightmare, and on this one it's super easy. It does a really great job. I'm going through quite a bit of the fleece, around 100 or so inches every day actually. So I'm not sure if that'll slow down. I've had it on here a few weeks now, so I'm not sure if that's just gonna be kind of on average what it does. I change it, I'd say, I don't know, every 3 to 4 weeks I have to get a new roll, which is a little bit more than I'd like, but I mean, that means it's pulling out a lot of stuff and doing a good job. And so happy with that. I still have the dosing my alkalinity and calcium, and I have the UV sterilizer running back there. I have some red pom-pom macroalgae right there. The light's not on right now, but I'm running the Toonsy macroalgae light, and the red pom-pom's doing okay. It's definitely bright red, so it seems to be happy. I can't really get it to tumble as much as I'd like, so I just manually move it around every now and then. Something else I just recently added is the Two Little Fishies reactor, and I'm running some Rowaphos in here just to help with what I believe is one of the issues in phosphate being locked up in my rocks. I have the Marco rocks, and they're kind of known for holding on to phosphate, and so I'm thinking, regardless of what my tests are telling me, I think there's a lot of phosphate locked up in those rocks, and I went ahead and decided, like I said, to put on this reactor and run some Rowaphos. So we'll see how that does. It's been on here for about 1 week. I have my media down there for beneficial bacteria, the Octo skimmer, and then that's my dosing lines running into the return chamber where I have the max spec return pump. On this reactor, I did utilize the built-in arm right here on the plumbing. So the return goes up, and then it comes down here and it feeds into this reactor, and then it comes out into this middle chamber here and then back into the return. It's not ideal, right, to take the water after it's been fully filtered and then send it through something else to go back. It's kind of redundant, almost too redundant, right? But I didn't want to add any extra pumps, and that is what that's for, is for a reactor. And so that's just how I have it set up, knowing that it's not the best way possible, but it also saves me from another piece of equipment. And I'm not sure that I necessarily want a ton of Rowaphos or a ton of phosphate removed right now just to get started. So even if it's not doing as much as it possibly could by running it, say directly, the water directly out of here, and then returning it up to the display or returning it to the return zone, I'm okay with that, at least for now. Over here is one of my only complaints with the cabinet on this Waterbox 190.5 is just that there's no divider here I think you can get other options, but the way I have it, it's just one big open space. So my electronics, not as organized as they should be by any means. They're all just kind of right here, closer to the water than I would like, but it's kind of how I have to have it. That's my dosing container there with my alkalinity and calcium, Trident there. And then right here, I have a recent video on the channel how I set this gravity fed auto top off. That seems to be working really well. Got some feedback and I just need to make sure I'm cleaning off this side so that the float valve doesn't get stuck with salt. But you can see that black line running out there. It goes, if you look up these stairs on this higher level part of the house, I do have a 10-gallon ATO reservoir, then runs around the back and comes to this float valve and keeps it topped off.